Time?
It is 4:45.
Please join us in the flag salute, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank everyone for joining the Bourbon County Commission meeting. We have a request for an executive session. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I don't. Someone wants to make that motion?
Yes, sorry.
20 minutes?
Yep. Make a motion to go in executive session, KSA 75-4319B2 to discuss for consultation with attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship via 3 commissioners, county council Justin Meeks and Forrest Rhodes will be on his cell phone, be for 20 minutes. We return here, it looks like at 5:06. Did I do my math right?
So I can second it.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. In discussion?
This is, what's this one for? For
B2.
B2, non-elected.
To consultation with attorney for the public
consultation
body or
with an
agency.
attorney for the public body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. In discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Dawn? You hear me? There you.
Make a motion to resume normal session, no action.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda, approval of minutes from 9/9/24, and approval of August financials.
I'll second it.
A motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Susan Walter, CFO Insurance. Good evening, everyone.
I'm gonna let Dawn talk more in detail about plan benefits, but in your packet, I've included, this is what our current health insurance is in the state of Kansas. The next page shows you all the benefits that we have. And the second column is, who's the administration of that? And so there's a few plans there at the top where Jennifer's office and I are working on those, and we make sure that we get the premiums and stuff and the billings done. But if you look over to the right, the administration completely changes. And so I just wanted to show that who's going to be responsible and liable for the plans. So it's you can see there's a huge shift administratively of what's going to have to go into the clerk's office. So I just wanted to show that and who the new vendors would be. The next page, before Dawn starts in, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, so that you have, I want to be completely transparent and understand how this works when they tell you we have savings. We still have to come up with an employee-employer contribution. And in order to not adversely affect the employees, and we felt like this first year we probably ought to do that, the employer premium will go up on the health insurance. But you have all that savings in the dental. So dental will stay flat, the employer will still pay the same premium, we'll say the same premium for health, but the employer contribution is gonna have to go up in order to capture the same savings. Vision, it's actually just gonna go up. And I think it was gonna go up with the state as well, but it's probably a little bit more significant, and I'll just let you guys kind of touch on that a little bit.
Let me go ahead and start. Okay. So when we were here at the last meeting, there was roughly 66,000 savings for the medical and the dental. And I think it could be, a case could be made, it might be 6,000 more than that. And then today we negotiated another 1% with Blue Cross, so it's another 14,000. That just happened about an hour ago. So okay, can you hear me okay? I'm pretty loud anyways, because they don't even need
It's
a
the
microphone.
people behind you.
Oh, okay. So how you do your internal pay, what you want to pay for employee is up to you. You guys have your own system, but when Christy Mitchell and I were here, and she's available by phone call if you want. When we were here, we just said, hey, there's that much savings. You figure out how you want to do it. Jeremy and I, Christy talked, and Susan, we've had several meetings, and one option you have is just to keep the employer contribution and employee contribution the same, because the savings went somewhere. However, when you go to get quotes from Blue Cross and they quote Plan A and Plan B, there could be like an employee and child, or employee spouse, or employee could be a little higher or lower in one area than the other. But ultimately, if the census we quoted stayed the same over a year, 12 months, your savings would be $66,000 to $80,000 in that range. You know, depending how you want to calculate it and all that. Now, how you apply it is really an internal decision. And we thought the easiest is just keep the rates the same for everybody, but that does involve some work, because you might actually be paying more of a contribution towards one group of rates. But Blue Cross only cares that they get one check a month and it's for the total. That's all they really care about. How you divide it up, they don't care. And then you'll get control of your plan, and 4 months prior or 5 to the January 1 day, we look at all the different options, including Blue Cross, other options, deductibles. You can start getting claims experience. You could look at other plans if you want to, and you may not want to, and so all those things will come into play. Anytime, now we've been writing plans since 1980, I'm pretty old, a lot of groups, but 99% of those plans never had the state plan to begin with and don't have the state now, so we know we can make it work, but there's a lot of work with HR anyway. If all things were equal in a human resource department with all of our groups, Southeast Kansas and other states, HR gets a lot of activity. So you have to do it on purpose, you have to have it done with reduction in the risk of liability, you have to do all those things on purpose. That's true. Our office fortunately is across the street, plus we are hands-on, and we've not had any liabilities by the grace of God, fortunately. No lawsuits, hope this isn't the first one. But no, we've been real fortunate. We work real hard. But we know Susan and everybody else here has a lot of work to do. But we're used to doing that. However, you've got to do it on purpose. When you look at the plan design with Blue Cross, it certainly can be confusing, as any health insurance can. And probably anyone that's been in health insurance or any kind of insurance, it seems like, why don't they just make it the same? So we're always asking apples for apples. So we went to Blue Cross and we got the number. It was close as we wanted to get, as close as you could get to what you have now at the state. So if you look at Plan A, the deductible was $800 with the state and $1,000 with Blue Cross, but the out-of-pocket's $250 less with the Blue Cross Direct plan. So overall, the doctor co-pays are a little higher, but they're negotiating to see if we can get that to match what they have. We don't know that till tomorrow or Wednesday. On Plan A, when you look at a $15 generic drug and you're paying 20% now with the state, it's up to $15 at a maximum. I have Blue Cross of Illinois. Sometimes I go get a prescription, it's $1.40. Sometimes it's $15. Sometimes it's $3. And so that can be a little, you wonder which is lower. It's hard to say. And we have some other options in Bourbon County a lot of people don't have on prescriptions. When you look at the HSA, the plan, what the state calls the state of Kansas $2,750 deductible, that is an aggregate HSA. So what that means, if you have family coverage, you have to have a $5,500 deductible met first before they start paying. So it's a different plan. The plan Blue Cross and Christy Mitchell quoted is a direct, what they call an embedded plan. So if an employee has $3,300 of expenses, they start paying 100% right then. Hospital, surgery, then you pay your prescription co-pays on top of that. And if you had enough of them, we've never seen anyone reach the max they could, then you could have an out-of-pocket that's higher than the state plan, because instead of $4,500, so you could end up with an out-of-pocket of $1,200 less with the new plan than the state plan. But you could also end up with an out-of-pocket of $1,800 more if you had just Mayo Clinic every day or MD Anderson getting go-pays every day on your drugs. I've never seen it happen. It could happen. Both of them have unlimited lifetime coverage. Both cover all pre-X. We never get complaints really with the Blue Cross plans. People just like them. They cover wellness good. They also will do a wellness fair for the county, which costs nothing, which leads to what do you do with the different benefits you had for your employees. You had an HSA benefit that was out of a different savings account, and Susan could probably be more detailed than me in that. And then you had a wellness program that you could do that the state did, where you can get $500, I think, something like that. So with Blue Cross, you can fund the HSA if you want to, just like you did before. With the wellness, what we do with other groups, schools, colleges, and others, many times we just say participate in the wellness fair, show that you did it. You can make it easier or harder to get that money. That's really an internal decision. We'll do the wellness fair and that for you. So when you get into Blue Cross, those are the biggest differences I see on the health plan. When you get into voluntary benefits, we have since well, I just go way back to 1983 when my dad died. I tried to get my mom a Medicare supplement, and I wanted to get her something that the best I could get. I didn't want her mad at me. I was one of 11 kids, so anyway, I just thought, you know, I'm going to take care of her. We've always tried to write what we do ourselves in our office or for our family. So we have the same benefits that we're recommending to the county are the ones that we have in our office, our associated affiliated offices. And why do we do that? We feel like since we can write for so many companies, hundreds of them, let's just get the ones we use. We're all in it together. It works. And I have these same products, except for the Kansas City Life employer paid. I have the same products we're offering. Because there's a big difference. As Zig Ziglar used to say in the beginning, there's price, in the end there's cost. So we could show you real cheap, inexpensive. We write for MetLife and all these companies that might go $3 or $4 a month for a plan, but they're not 24-hour coverage, they're not portable. And when you get to be my age and you're more vulnerable to getting cancer or needing life insurance and you want guaranteed rights to get it, we have what I think is the best options the county's ever had. We have guarantee issue life insurance up to $150,000 with no health questions. It's portable and convertible. We've never had it till now. We have the Northwestern if you want to go through underwriting. And we still have the MetLife and Capers, but the problem with MetLife and Capers, you usually can't port them and take them with you as easy because the price goes way up. So we like that. We have the same cancer product that we had last year that I have on myself. And the accident plan, the critical illness is an example too. The state plan is 70 covered conditions instead of 35. They're all portable. They cover pre-X. But the accident you're going to see is about $10 a month more than the state, but that's because it's 24-hour coverage and it's portable and you don't have to take it. It's voluntary. But we think that's what we have. We'd rather offer what we have and explain. I'd rather explain quality and cost than I would low quality and a premium on a claim not paid. Just rather do it. It's up to you guys though. We can write for about any of them. So Jeremy, what would you add? You want to talk about the vision or anything else? Or Susan, what do you think we should be covering on this? I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm trying to hit the highlights.
The vision is very similar in what it covers. It is a little bit more costly. Every year, I know the state changes their vision plan. They were gonna change it again this year to Surancy. So I went back and I pulled what they were offering this year, and, you know, we all felt like it was better just to recommend the $2.88 that we've always paid towards it. And it's not a lot that they pick up, but they pick up the increase. I did ask them to put in.
It's a $10 copay on the
Yeah,
options instead of
$10.
$50 for
Yeah.
an eye exam.
Yeah.
So you're getting better quality there too if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want it.
I did ask that they get some quotes on something new this year that I feel like everybody needs to at least have access to. It's a voluntary product, and that's for identity theft protection and legal services. And it's pretty common out in the corporate world that you have that option to do that, and you get the identity theft protection for $7 a month, $7 or $8 a month. And so felt that that was important to at least offer it.
And that's voluntary, so usually it just takes very few people to make it work.
Yeah.
If you want it, you want it, but I think offering it just gives them an option instead of all this scamming going on with identity theft and everything in the world of taking people's money is probably good to have an option.
I think what was most important was to, so that you understood, we'll have to figure out what the employer and employee portion is, understanding that you're getting all the decrease in premiums on your dental side, not on the health side, because you're gonna have to, if you don't want to adversely affect, so for example, on Plan C, the Blue Cross rates are a lot higher than what the state of Kansas were. And so if you don't want to affect your employees, which it would be about $800 if you did that, we figured you'd probably just keep them at the same and pay a little bit more on the employer side. You still get benefit, it's just on the dental side that you're getting the benefit. We will have to pay for a benefit admin system, an employee assistance program, which is $3,500, and
One-time
then
fee.
an FSA vendor to administer that. So, and then he just told me about the 1% savings, so that would also help offset some of those costs. What was that roughly?
Yeah, it's like $13,000 or $14,000 in addition to at our last meeting, what we told you the savings was. So we know the plan will work financially, it's just how you want to allocate the money. That's, yeah, because there's enough savings there to make it work and finally get control of your plan. Every year get claims experience, see what you want to do.
I just wanted to have this discussion before we did the budget hearing and just make sure you understand what, we don't have to approve this tonight, but it's probably something we're gonna need to look at down the road, is what is gonna be, well, we'll have to do it within the next month, what your employer contribution versus your employee contribution is going to be.
Okay. Even with, we increased our part of the contribution, there's still a savings.
Yes, there's
Substantial.
56,000 right now,
Well,
plus the
that's-
13K.
And employees can keep the same benefits, and we still save approximately $56,000. That's still a pretty good kick for the county.
But do we save that overall? Because we've got to administer it, right? Correct? We've got to manage this thing,
The clerk does, yes.
which means
Well,
the
you gotta
next
keep in mind,
employee,
well, and I certainly don't know all the clerk did it, I don't want to sound like it, but we did approve her hiring a part-time person. So that's going to help a little bit.
No, it wasn't in the budget.
Pardon?
It wasn't in the budget
no, we rolled that over to the
commission.
commission. We put that in the commission.
I thought that money was just for hiring future budget assistants.
It was for the Department of Labor. increase, was the only thing that's figured into my section.
And she said she wanted to keep another 9,000, but was that for the Department of Labor?
That was just for the cost that's incurred. She has a lot more cost than what, is that right? The 9,000, you have a lot more contractual obligations?
So, my budget was cut in '23, $6,000. It was basically everything that, we used everything, so I can't cut my cost $6,000. That was what the prior clerk had used and had been approved for, so it went from 9,000 to 3,000.
And I think part of that was because maybe the expenses weren't being charged to the clerk, they were being charged in the general government line. And so when she started really paying for her bills, they're a lot higher than what we
Okay.
anticipated.
And I don't have my budget, I'm not doubting you at all, but I thought we left in there somewhere where you hire a part-time person. And the money we were removing was for the possible future of hiring someone to assist with the budget. That was my understanding. And he even mentioned a part-time person on that sheet you gave us.
Yeah, I did, but we moved that full 30K up to the commission, which it's neither here nor there at this point.
Well, I think we should move, you'll need a part-time person. I think it should be moved back. And to do this, you're gonna need some help. That's obvious.
And part of that fee for the benefit admin system, which will be definitely needed, because if you didn't have that, you would need a full-time person. But with that benefit admin system, and that also includes our services in our office. And so
Which we gave that last time, it's a long list of
Yeah.
things that we do for groups that are 200 or 300 or 400 employees in it, and it'll be really good.
So there will still be things that, with the savings, part of that savings is included our fee in the admin system.
Yeah.
But they're still gonna have things that internally that they have to deal with, but hopefully between us working with them, we can work with that too. So.
Susan, going forward, if we approve the budget as is, you move that over to the commission. Any reason why the commission in January can't move it back over and get you a part-time person?
No,
That's what I thought, so.
yeah, you can adjust it.
Because, but all in the general fund.
Yeah.
So you can be an adjustment, get you some help. Okay.
And I don't know if you'd want to hear, but I made a list of the same things Susan did, of all the different things and how we're gonna help, because we do one-on-one meetings and meetings with her. We do this all the time,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't want to take on the risk, especially being right here in Fort Scott, so easy to find, if we could help Susan, and we've had a good relationship to work together. I think that we'll be fine on that. There is more work, but we do a lot of that because of the benefit admin, but it takes a sharp person like Susan to run it with us to make it
Okay.
really work.
Where you get into some troubles at times is your file exchanges. If something doesn't work quite right, then you have to know how to administer that back end of the benefit side of things, and so luckily I have some experience in that.
Is there any reason why we shouldn't approve it tonight?
Now, if you're good with these employee,
How long do we have to decide on this, changing the insurance over?
the state plan, you were supposed to certify with them by the 1st. I did call just in case. I know we had some conversations just in case. They can't give me an answer until Thursday, so I don't know if you could go back.
We
on it.
approved the switch last week, though.
Yeah,
Didn't
no,
Yes,
I
we did.
agree.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
He
no.
asked me to
Oh,
ask,
okay.
he asked me.
No,
Yeah.
I asked some questions because I got
Okay.
looking at it and so
So we've already approved this.
so
Yes.
Last meeting.
we approved it.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Change it, yeah. But
It's
he
agreed.
wanted to know
I
if there
just-
was an opportunity to get back on it, so I
just
called
just
him
in
the
case we
question.
decide.
Sure, I appreciate it, Susan.
So,
But if you're okay with the employer and employee, as they sit on this page, then
I'm ready to go forward, as we approved last week, Clifton.
I've been wanting to get rid of the state plan for 3 years now or
Yeah,
so.
we've
so,
talked about it for a
I
long
mean, I think
time, so
it's-
thank you, Susan.
Yep.
Thank you, Dawn, Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you all.
Enjoy
very
it.
much.
Enjoy your evening, so,
Look forward to working with you all.
okay. Thank you, Susan. Okay, we got 4 minutes to kill here, so.
Oh, the only other thing that we didn't talk about was, for a flexible spending account, we'll go with Blue Cross instead of their iSolve that they have on here because of the file exchange that we have to do with the employee navigator. It's a little bit, there's a one-time fee that you have to pay of $250, but in the end, it's cheaper. So.
Bo,
You guys,
how are you?
good, sir?
Yeah. Waiting on the 5:30 budget hearing. We can't start early. I'm reading her directions here, so.
Nope, it's gotta start on time.
So do not start
Very,
early.
very, very clear.
So the big line item is how much money I have to spend June, this year, June 26th, to be extended by June. Like, I worked in ambiguity, like up here, and then work that down, just based on.
Susan, you'll have to kind of lead back my files in my truck. What the revenue neutral would have been, blah, blah. I'm just talking meeting, you take. Okay.
I'll talk a little bit about what I have, what I presented.
Okay.
That just requires like so much more time and oversight, and honestly, it requires us to have to like budget the higher one, just because you're working on so much ambiguity throughout the year. You can't get it all done. I mean,
So you guys only got rid of it, if you don't spend it immediately, so you do a lot of expenditures over the year,
Right.
just to make sure you use that money.
And so that's how I try to facilitate budget center line. Like I have, you set things like insurance.
Susan, what percentage do you think the sales tax down because the food tax had impacted very much? Road tax, or road money?
We're down about 300,000.
Was it year estimate or
Let's just say you're at total on
for the year total, maybe, not days, okay. That's a lot.
I don't have it.
let's just say you spend it all on
Financial insurance.
I can look at them, yeah.
So you have an additional, let's say 10% of the total budget, right? So what do you do with that extra 10%?
I haven't really researched it's car sales
What
or,
it comes to us
and what,
in, so there are
I think
these
it's
funds
gonna
that
help
make
us.
capital outlay.
I don't think they have it. I think people struggling.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, it's 5:30. All right, folks. We will open up with a public hearing addressing the R&R rate hearing. And I move to start the public hearing.
Okay, you'll have to do the revenue neutral rate hearing. You'll need to open
Yes.
that up.
Yes. Revenue neutral rate hearing. That's it. Yeah. Okay. You have the floor, Susan.
Do they have to vote on that?
Do we have to vote on it? I don't know.
Okay, so you'll
Okay, just open it.
explain any type of changes to the revenue neutral rate, and then, the taxpayers will be allowed to speak,
Okay.
to that.
Okay. So, in your little book, this is your, this is the budget for the year. Trying to find the budget summary. Should be back towards the back. The hearing notice in the very back. If you go to that very first page, it talks about your R&R rate is 56.761, and the county is exceeding that rate by levying 59.900. So you have generated more tax dollars because your assessed valuation was up. And throughout this document, it shows in each one of these different funds what you use those dollars to fund for this budget. Now, if you make any changes tonight, then we'll have to go back and adjust these pages. But basically, you've been pretty transparent in everything that you've done, why you're increasing. The idea of revenue neutral rate is basically you don't spend any more dollars than you did the previous year. And if you have to, explain why you need to spend those dollars. And so I think you've done a pretty good job this year of explaining what you're funding and why your funding increases. And on that page, I also show that the assessed valuation increased from 16 million to 17 million. And the new revenue generated was $428,733. Your debt service did increase over 24. But it's down 499,000 since 2023, showing a net decrease of 127,000. So those were just the main things that you see on your budget hearing notice that we put in the paper, and what is being funded for each department. So now you have to allow for people to speak on the R&R.
We will open the floor up for any public comments addressing the R&R hearing.
Everybody jump up at the same time.
Good evening.
Would I be allowed to address the?
Yes, please.
Commission? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Tyson, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've been hearing a few things about revenue neutral, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands what it is. And it's all about transparency. It's not about the government, the state government limiting local governments as to how much they can increase property tax or not increase property tax. It's about transparency so that taxpayers know who and why their property taxes increased. And I heard a statement, and I don't mean to pick on the previous speaker, but she said you've done a pretty good job at transparency. Well, this bill is a result of forcing transparency, because I literally was in a Lynn County meeting and the commissioner stood up, he was a good friend of mine, neighbor, and he stood up and said, "I didn't raise your property taxes." And I leaned back and crossed my arms because he knew. And then he says, "Well, we didn't raise the mill levy." And somebody in the meeting yells out, "But we're writing a bigger check," and that's what matters. So if you stay revenue neutral, if you vote no tonight, that means you are voting to not increase property taxes for Bourbon County residents. But if you vote yes, then you are voting to exceed revenue neutral, and you are voting to increase the amount of property tax collected over the previous year. The state doesn't say yay or nay, whether you do it or not. That's your decision. But that vote is a transparent vote. It is a recorded vote that goes to the state so that anybody can see it, and everybody knows what happened as to who increased property taxes and why. And that letter that you get, it has the state on it, it has the schools on it, it has all of the local governments. There's over 4,000 taxing authorities in the state of Kansas. And anybody that says revenue neutral legislation is not working is not paying attention. Wyandotte County Unified Government stayed neutral this year. They did not increase property taxes for their local. People are hurting. They are struggling. They are literally moving out of the state because of property taxes and other taxes. And we are doing everything we can to lower taxes in Kansas. I know I am. I know others work very hard, very diligent. We were able to remove income tax on Social Security. That's going to be a big benefit. But we don't need to increase property taxes as we're decreasing other. And sales tax on most groceries will go to zero this year, except for local sales tax. So the coffers keep increasing because of inflation, and we just need to be aware. And I ask that you consider, if you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to
I have
answer.
one.
Sure.
The additional revenue is created because the assessed valuation went up, correct? And that's,
It's no longer created because of the assessed valuation increasing. So the valuation goes up, and what we created is that revenue neutral rate. Well, that's the mill levy that would collect the same dollar amount from property tax as the previous year.
but the state drives the assessed valuation going up, correct?
The state does not. There's some misnomers there. It is a state statute that identifies the process and procedures, but PVD has some leeway and authority, and we are studying this in great detail. They've got this 10% margin of error, And we're trying to figure out where that comes from, because county appraisers think that they are told by PVD they have to stay within that 10% margin of error. And so I think that artificially drives up some properties. I know in Lynn County, we had somebody from, a billionaire come in and buy property. They didn't care what they paid for it. Well, that drives the rest of our property up. So the valuations are part of the equation, but the part of the equation that you control is the mill levy. So those valuations do fluctuate on individual properties. They go up and they go down. But the overall dollar amount to be collected by the county is decided by you guys.
Okay. So if we did not increase the valuation, would we have to?
If you do not increase the valuation.
That we was told to that we had to by the state rules?
So the valuations go up.
But why?
And
they
PVD
don't have
and
to.
local
that drives up
appraisers
taxes, though.
increase them. No, it doesn't drive up taxes. That's where the transparency's coming
Well,
in.
if we
You can-
continue to drop the mill levy and absorb the valuation, yeah, but if we stay the same mill levy and the valuations go up, that's more revenue.
But you're trying to say it's not a property tax increase if the mill levy stays the same as last year.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, I'm sorry. My previous, okay, I've heard other people say that, and that is not accurate. There's three factors in the equation. You get your valuation, and then they multiply it by the assessed value. If it's agriculture, it's 30%. If it's commercial, it's 25%. And if it's a homeowner, it's 11.5% to get your assessed value. Then that is used. You take that times the mill levy in order to get the property tax owed.
Right.
So there's two variables in there. We don't control we're not controlling the valuation right now. There's, PVD's doing it and the county appraisers are doing what they think is correct, and we are taking a look at that part of the equation. But what we knew that would take some time and effort, so in the meantime, what we did is we said, okay, we're gonna create transparency then, so that everybody knows, okay, the valuations go up, then the mill levy resets for the same dollar amount for the previous year, the revenue neutral rate. So you would collect the same dollar amount. And if the valuations went down, that mill levy would reset, so you would collect the same dollar amount.
I understand.
Yeah, but, so
Right.
you're gonna vote tonight whether to exceed revenue neutral, whether to collect more money in property taxes.
And my question was driven because, now maybe I misunderstood, but our appraiser, I believe, he told us the state made us raise valuation 9%.
I'd have to look into that to comment.
That was the minimum. They wanted 20%. He negotiated it down to 9%. We took it was mandatory by the state.
But it doesn't matter. My point being, for what you're voting on tonight, the valuation, it was calculated off the valuation that he increased. So by increasing the mill levy, you're choosing to accept more money because of those valuation increases.
We're not increasing it.
Come forward, Susan. We'd like our CFO has something she'd like to.
Sure.
And I don't disagree with anything that she says, but what you as a commission have to look at is your cost of services have gone up. So you either cut services or you pay for that. Insurance being one, went up $50,000. Department of Labor mandates came down. Those went up about $100,000 for the commission. So in order for you to pay for those services, to pay for those cost of increases, you either have to cut services, so that if we're staying at revenue neutral rate, you would have to cut services.
Right.
So let me explain that, though. That's not quite accurate. I appreciate that. You have more than one revenue stream.
No, we don't.
You have sales tax.
No, we do not. No, we do not.
We have a sales tax on a road program.
And it has to be used on hard surface roads.
Nothing else.
Okay.
Nothing else.
So no,
So
we
the
don't.
county, you're at 6.5% countywide on sales tax.
But they are dedicated sales tax for our jail to pay down bonds.
But I'm telling
and
you,
for-
you have other revenue streams, and they need
But-
to
but it
understand
can
that. This is
only
about
be used for
transparency.
specific use.
And we can't
All
spend
it
it
can
in
be
the
used for.
general fund.
And
That's
most of-
fine,
and
but
most-
you do have other revenue streams. That's my point. And you, by statute, You have the
So we could
option.
tax more, we could do a sales tax to tax more to generate the money that we need to pay for the
And
insurance.
keep it off property tax. And Sedgwick County is looking at doing that.
Tax is
So I'll let
still
you
a
guys take that,
tax.
right.
No, it just depends on who's paying it. It's sales tax, you get, I mean, we're down here shopping. A lot of people that don't live in Bourbon County are crossing the state line and coming in and shopping. And with the sales tax increases, you do capture the inflation increase.
Let me say, it would be nothing more pleasurable for me to stay revenue neutral, but I don't know how to continue services that we have today if we do.
And actually, our
I'm-
sales tax is down 300,000 in one fund this year.
Yes.
I'm not here to micromanage your budget.
I know you're not.
I
know
am
you.
just saying I disagree that there are other revenue funds,
Yeah.
and I will stand by that
And
statement.
you are right, but one is for to pay off the new jail, and the other one is for hard service road. So that money cannot come to the general and pay for these mandates that we've got from the state.
What mandates from the state? I've asked for a list. I
Revenue
never,
waiver Has a
100,000.
new overtime ruling.
so I haven't seen it. I don't know anything.
It's
Please
federal.
email it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's federal. That's not a
It's still-
state mandate.
No, but it
But we
still
still
cost
have
us
to do it.
money.
Yeah, but he said it was a state
It
mandate.
was a federal, we said it was a
I was
federal.
talking
No,
about
he said
the
state.
valuations. I was told it's state mandate. I don't know about Department of Labor. That would be federal. I made a mention of what our appraiser told us
Yeah.
was state mandated.
You know, I've asked for a list of the state mandates from several counties, several city councils, and I've never gotten a list. I'm absolutely here to work on those to try to help what we can. in
I would
order-
say this is too complicated. I don't think it does show transparency. I think it's actually, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but if we collected, for easy numbers, $1 million last year, if we collect 1.1 million from property tax this year, we raised the mill levy. Okay.
You
that's-
raised property taxes.
We raised property taxes, not the mill levy. But this is confusing. This does cost us money. This revenue neutral rate process does cost us money.
How does it cost you
It
money?
costs Susan's time, Jennifer's time, Patty's time.
So I'm gonna ask.
So,
Okay.
no, I'm just saying, I don't disagree with the idea, but how this was implemented is very complicated, I think you made it less transparent than you made it more. I think you
So
achieved,
this-
just like any typical government stuff, you made it less transparent than more, in my opinion. I absolutely agree with you on the revenue, on the ideology,
Not raising taxes.
on how it is, not raising taxes, but the fact that we have to go through this process that does take time, whether you want to admit it or not. It takes a lot of time, does it not, Susan? It takes a lot of your time. And I just think there would be way easier ways to do it. Do we not? I mean, do we have to mail stuff out on this too? Or is that
We
maybe I'm
do.
thinking of something else?
We do. We are actually being reimbursed again this year. Next year, I think it's still up in the air as to whether
Okay.
we will have to
So-
pass that along to the subdivisions.
So I'll ask the
From a
town.
time thing, I think that it absolutely takes our people's time.
Well, and it puts a crunch on your clerks that have to certify everything last minute.
Yeah.
Because you give a longer deadline up to the October 1st date rather than the August 25th date to really work out any kinks. That's a
So
real
I
problem.
would
Yeah, we're
ask.
gonna change that
I would
next year.
ask that, of course, I'm not gonna be here, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I would ask that it be simplified. Don't disagree with the idea, but it absolutely needs to be simplified.
So I'm a software engineer, and you guys I can't imagine there's not anybody in this room that hasn't been involved in a new system release.
Sure.
Okay, no system comes out perfect.
Sure.
And I'm the first one to say, give me your input. I'm absolutely here. We're going to try to change it. What Susan talked about was the October deadline for the budgets. We are going to change that. That is an issue. We worked with clerks, so there were a few clerks across the state, and you wouldn't believe all the people that were involved in this process, in the scheduling process. The property tax system itself is not simple. So we were trying
So
to simplify. We are working on it. But I want everyone here to know the state has paid for the mailings. And yes, it does cost some time and effort, but how many of you taxpayers want this transparency and want the opportunity to be able to come and say, please do not raise my property taxes. So it is not a perfect system. We are still working on it, but it is better than what we had before, because I literally had commissioners or councilmen that would say, we didn't raise your property taxes because we lowered the mill levy. But you're right, the valuations went through the roof. We've had between 200 and 400% valuation increases in the last 20 years in the state of Kansas. Depends on what county you're in. Those are, yes, exorbitantly high. And inflation, not even near that. So why the increases over the years? And so that's why we're calling for the transparency. We're not trying to micromanage. And the problem is, we're still hearing from people, the number one issue when we go door to door, when we talk to our constituents, it's property taxes. And so they're asking for the cap to be put on. The cap that used to limit the increase for local government. It would have to go to a vote of the people. And I know that's starting to get traction. And boy, you want to talk about, you know, I'm all for local government and local control. But I'm also for fixing this problem that we have in property taxes. And we were just trying to force transparency with this legislation.
I think what you guys are faced with is we did a study of this a couple of years ago, is about, I want to say it was like 65% of our homes are valued at $50,000 or less. That is your problem, because you have, unfortunately, we live in a poor area to get enough dollars to be able to operate. We want to have roads like Johnson County, and we're never going to have that because we don't generate enough money to cover our expenses.
We don't, and don't,
No, you're fine.
please don't take this the wrong way, but we don't have the lacing power plant.
You know what? I love that you say that. I'm glad you say it, because we've got farmers that own land in Bourbon County, Lynn County, and Miami County, my neighbors. She said she can't hardly tell a difference
I
between
agree.
which
I know.
county she's
I
in.
know.
So that power plant is not, talk about being mismanaged.
Well, if you
And
didn't-
it's 65% of our valuation, and they've
yeah.
already named a shutdown date.
And so, but that's one of our issues here, is we don't have any of those big businesses paying 65%. You
Yeah,
know what I
but
mean?
our property
So-
taxes are comparable to yours. That's
So-
the key. That's what,
I would think as a commission, what you would ask is, how do we get more help down here to get our industry and housing up?
so what I would tell you is, let's look to Anderson County. Have you looked at Anderson County? They don't have a power plant. They don't have a big business. And they're staying revenue neutral. They've done it a couple of years now. They are definitely a model to look after as to how they are running their county business. I'm just saying, there's counties out there that are doing it. There's a couple of Wyandotte County, one of the largest in the state. They had every reason to increase. They're a unified government, and they stayed neutral this year. They brought me in to ask questions about it, and what I told them was, if you stay neutral this year, it does not impact what you do next year. So you can absolutely increase next year. We're not tying your hands on that at all. I would love to find a solution.
Can I
Sure.
ask a question, since you just said that, not tying your hands? So I was led to believe, and this was 3 years ago, and I haven't really thought about it since, that if it is lowered, you cannot raise it back up to a certain level. So that, what you're saying is that, so the next three commissioners, if they wanted to, they could do like we're 59 or whatever it is this year, they could go to 70 next year. Okay.
There's no restrictions, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all about the dollar amount is,
Yeah, because
yeah.
we was revenue neutral 3 years ago,
Yeah.
had 56 something, then we went up to 59. So it can go up, yes, but
But if we leave it at 59 this year,
I thought there was like a cap.
right, we can
I was
lower it next year
You can lower it next year.
to help the
And,
county get back to where we need to be financially, and then we can lower it back down
right, and we gave
and
some.
keep it where we're at.
We gave some wiggle room in statute this year because, okay, you have your estimated valuations, and that's what your revenue neutral rate was based off of. So your actual valuations come in and they could change. There might be a business that goes off the books or something. We give you leeway to adjust that mill levy to actually bring in that same dollar amount as the previous year, so that you will not be penalized if the actual valuations decrease.
Yeah.
This isn't on my literature's on my truck, which no excuse, but what is the revenue neutral rate?
Ours is 56.761.
56?
Thank you for the
Well,
opportunity.
thank you for your
Yeah.
information. It's good
Yeah.
to see you.
Thank you, you too.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you for your time
$56.761.
at the state level.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So the only way, correct me if I'm wrong, please, to stay revenue neutral is to cut services,
Yeah.
cut expenses.
Yes.
That's the only way. And that means everywhere, I mean, when we do the sheriff, road and bridge in general, it can be across the board if we choose to do that.
Yeah.
And you tell me how many dollars that is.
I was just doing that right quick.
Yeah, but I have to do the calculations.
That's, what is it, 120,000,
It's
Susan?
133.
133.
Is your assessed valuation.
It was 56 point what?
7.61.
Yeah, it's 417,000, or am I off a little?
Yeah. There was another-
How much, Susan?
400,000.
400,000.
So you have to cut 400,000 from our budget.
Wow. That's a lot.
Which is, what you increased, 428,733.
That was
And that
the
was,
increase
you know,
of the valuation money.
Yeah. That was, we were protecting some cash, you were,
Yeah.
several things.
Yeah, and you had several areas there that we put cash back in, but, I won't go there just yet, because,
I don't know if there's anybody
Anybody else want
wants
to talk?
yes, anyone else want to talk
Anybody
about
else got
revenue
any
neutral?
questions, any comments?
If you,
Yes, Mr. Walker.
This is the only comments that I'll make on revenue neutral. If, if my county commissioners wasn't doing the job, I think the voters of Bourbon County would kick them out, you know, because of the fact that you raise taxes too much.
We just got kicked out too,
I
so maybe
get
that's
this.
the case.
I get this. And the second comment I will say, whenever they say that, well, the state reimburses you down here, that's still my taxes. It goes to the state.
It's still
Taxes
tax
is taxes,
dollars,
and
yeah.
you're paying them.
You're correct there, so,
That's all I want to say.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yes.
yes, sir.
so I've only been here a couple years, but it just seems like, for me anyways, my property tax has gone up every year since I've been here. And I moved from a blue state to a red state. And I thought, oh, things might get better. You know, my job brought me here. So I find it a little bit disappointing that the taxes are going to go up because of the mill levy. So my question is, there's a thing about cutting costs, 400 grand. There's a thing about raising it. So if you do raise it, what percentage is it going to go up? Do we even know that?
We're not raising anything.
Well,
We're keeping it
well,
the same
if-
as it was last year.
Okay.
On our end.
Yeah.
But the valuation's
But
going
the
up.
evaluation is going.
Sure,
Valuation
I understand.
going up, so it's gonna
Listen,
cost you
guys.
more money.
Listen, guys, that's political speak, okay? Because one way or the other, money's going to go up.
Right.
All right, so I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying, I'm asking a real simple question. If it does go up, what percentage is going to go up? Can you give me that number? 10%, 12%?
Everybody will be different.
Everybody will be different.
So, I mean, you have a $50,000 house, you have a $500,000 house.
It'll be
Right.
different
It's
percentage,
gonna be
yeah.
different.
Sure,
And it's
I
gonna
mean, some
depend-
people may actually go down.
okay.
It'll depend on
So-
how your house is made,
Yeah.
and comparables, and the market, and how houses
Yeah,
are selling in the market,
Susan,
all those things.
I've gone and talked to the county assessor several times on this, and I can't get a straight read on how we assess homes in this, because I go online, look at my neighbors' properties, I'm like, there's no way, I mean, they got more land, a bigger house, all that stuff, God bless them, okay? But my thing is, like, how are you evaluating these homes? I don't understand, there's usually a formula, and I can't figure out the formula. But the other thing is, somebody's saying there's different revenue streams, that's great. But what about efficiency? Is there any way we can become more efficient in how we handle the government or what we do with the government? Because, you know, To me, I'm in government, the taxpayers paid for it, buy a new one. Well, that's not how we're efficient, right? Can we reuse something? Do we always have to, I mean, I understand the budgets go up, but is that going up because we didn't do our due diligence and try to figure out a more efficient or effective way of doing something? Have we looked into that?
Every year, I would say that. I mean, every year. I mean, the sheriff, I mean, you can take the sheriff's department, I can go show you a vehicle at a mechanic shop right now that, probably needs sold and a new one needs bought, but they're still driving that one. Now, we have over time, since I've been here the last 4 years, have tried to get them more cars. Road and Bridge, which was another very large, I mean, those are the two largest budgets we have in the county. I personally think Road and Bridge is ran extremely well. Could they, I mean, you can only run a road grader for so long, and you have to get a new one. I mean, eventually it's going to cost you more to repair it than just to buy a new one. I mean, we could quit grading roads, grade roads once a month, but then people are going to complain about that.
And really, you were only in control of very few departments.
Very few.
All the other elected officials have to join forces to be able to reduce. And if they're not watching their budgets, I mean, they don't control that.
No, I'm not trying to beat you guys up. Please don't
Oh,
take
no,
that.
we're not taking that way.
I think that the answer would be that at least in the last 4 years, we have looked at those things. Are there times we've wasted money? Well, sure, we're human. But is Road and Bridge ran efficiently? I believe they are.
They are.
I have no complaints with the services the county puts out.
I think they would welcome you to come out there, and I bet he would even open, books he could legally open to you, I bet he would. Bill has always been in here and asked people to come, Sheriff Martin has always been in here and said, show up on my doorstep, he'll tell you whatever he legally can also. Those are the two biggest budgets. The rest of them, the clerk and the treasurer and the register of deeds, I mean, their budgets are relatively small, and I think are also ran probably too efficient. And I think they would
I was here when they came and submitted their budget this year, and I thought they did pretty good, but again.
My response is I believe that our county's is ran pretty well.
All right.
I agree. The big ones is the sheriff and Road and Bridge, and they do a very good job of maintaining equipment. There comes a point, like you mentioned, a motor grader, a motor transmission, $100,000. So at what point do you get rid of that motor grader that has some value, or do you junk it and still have to buy a new one? So it's a give and take deal. But
so next are you going to come back and raise it again? Well, I mean, I understand. I know what you're going to say. So let me direct that question to Brandon. It's like, so next year with the two new commissioners coming in, what steps is the county government going to take to make sure that we don't raise the mill levy or the valuation of the properties?
There's no guarantee to
There's
that.
no guarantee that we can, I can't stand here and promise you that we won't do none of that.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to tell you that we'll leave it at 56.7 or lower for the rest of eternity, but I can't say that. I mean, because cost of operations go up. But I would like to, after this year, evaluations go up if we run the budget that we voted on.
May I suggest this
And we can
then?
collect some extra, then maybe for the next 2 or 3 years after that, we can lower it back down. And
May I suggest this then? I too have been in government, okay? And I too have been given crazy budgets and had to manipulate those budgets for the betterment of our citizens. But here's what I'm saying. Why can't something happen next year where everybody takes a 5% cut across the board or a 10% cut across the board? Because if you sit down and you take a look at individual, I'm not saying you three, I'm saying the individual department heads, sit down and just really dive down and drill down into their budgets. Where can they cut money? I'm sure you can cut at least 5% out of your budget.
No, I recommended that, and I was beat up pretty good on Facebook, so. And
Sometimes when you're doing your job,
For recommending
you're going
the
to piss
low.
off people, and that's just the way it is. Because if you're not doing your job right, you're not going to.
bottom line, if we stay revenue neutral, we have to cut $400,000 other expenses off our operation this year. And keep in mind, our cash reserves, in my opinion, we have money in a general equipment reserve fund, and we have money in the ARPA fund. But we've dedicated that for future medical assistance. So that's why things are different this year a little bit. That's $550,000. We have laying over here that's real money, but we dare not touch it because we've committed that to help supplement healthcare coming to Bourbon County. And we're committed to that, and I'm glad we are. But that's the reason why things are a little apple cart's upset this year a little bit, because of that big commitment.
Well, I don't want to open up a whole,
Yeah, right, I'm just sharing that with you,
Yeah.
and I'm proud that we did that,
well,
because I
I
believe
just
we're
want
gonna
to
get
say
some
thank you
healthcare.
for
Yeah.
giving me the opportunity to speak.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? So,
So you close the hearing,
okay,
and then you'll vote.
we vote if we say revenue neutral or not, okay? Make a motion, we close revenue neutral rate hearing.
Second.
Got a motion, and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we have to vote if we're gonna stay revenue neutral or not. And I'd like to, but $400,000 is a big bite. It really, really is. It would make me proud to stay revenue neutral, because I know American people out there and Bourbon County citizens are struggling. I know these people personally. Groceries, inflation, healthcare, auto insurance, the list goes on. And I would love to stay revenue neutral. I mean, it's just, it's hard to do, but it's the right thing to do. I don't know if that makes sense or not, so. What do you guys want to do?
I mean, I voted no on the budget anyway, so
Yeah.
I'll probably stay the same.
So your vote would be no on revenue neutral?
No, I just don't know what we have. We don't have any, we're gonna cut $400,000.
Well, it'd have to,
I mean.
it'd have to be in personnel and things like that, because that's a big number.
Yeah.
And your biggest expense is personnel and fuel and things like that. And employee benefits, it looks like it's going up 400-some thousand, if I remember right, and that's something that, you know, our workman's comp and things like that, we can't control the cost. So that we have so many costs we can't control that we have to pay for. We have to decide tonight too, don't we, Susan?
Yes, you do.
I can't buy a week. Brandon, what are we gonna do?
I'm gonna stick with the budget I already voted on. I mean, I feel like that's the only thing that can keep us above water until we can
Well, that does
add
add,
some extra.
it does put around 400 to 500,000 cash being cash reserves for 2025, which is necessary. And again, we're losing that because of our healthcare.
Yeah, all we're doing is building back up what we
Yeah,
promised
well,
for.
we have to build back
the-
up because
the good-
of our
the
commitment
good
with healthcare.
coming to town.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, that's a plus, great decision, so. What's your motion?
I guess, what is it?
Not to stay revenue-
I guess we vote to exceed revenue neutral rate, R&R. Well, I guess I got a resolution 11-2024, which is resolution number 11-2024, a resolution of the County of Bourbon, Kansas, to levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate. Whereas the revenue neutral rate for the County of Bourbon was calculated as 56.761 mils by the Bourbon County Clerk, and whereas the budget proposed by the governing body of the County of Bourbon will require the levy of a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate, and whereas the governing body held a hearing on September 16, 2024, allowing all interested taxpayers desiring to be heard an opportunity to give oral testimony, and whereas the governing body of the County of Bourbon, having heard testimony, still finds it necessary to exceed the revenue neutral rate. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the County of Bourbon, the County of Bourbon shall levy a property tax rate exceeding the revenue neutral rate of 56.761 mils. And this resolution shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its adoption, and shall remain in effect until further action is taken by the governing body. and adopted.
That's your motion.
So I'll make a motion that we exceed R&R.
I'm gonna second it with further discussion. And Bill, just a comment that I believe, and Susan, please correct me if I'm wrong. Our commitment to healthcare in Bourbon County, which is a great, great thing. It's one of the best things that happened in my lifetime, was Freeman coming to town. It's outstanding. But am I close to being correct? If it wasn't for that, we would have more opportunities to stay revenue neutral.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
it don't make me feel good, but it helps because of our commitment. And I think the long-term health care is going to be worth it. I would ask the commissions next year, David, I'm looking at you, sir, to really look at considering revenue neutral next year. I appreciate it. I'm going to be at your budget hearing in between catching big fish, but I would appreciate you look at that real close because I think it's so important. And if it wasn't for our health care, I'd vote for it this year. I really would.
I think if we had the extra funds, I would.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay. Now we gotta open another hearing, right?
Okay, so I need to go ahead and fill out the roll call vote, so I will call your name if I can have you state. So James Harris, how did you vote?
Yay.
Clifton Beth?
Abstained.
Brandon?
Yay.
And then I have the official copy of Resolution 11-2024 to sign. Okay, so now with that, you can open your budget meeting.
Okay. We will open up the public hearing for our budget hearing, correct? You have the floor, Susan.
I'm just gonna scoot up here. The document before you shows the, and everybody should have a copy of this. We tried to tab it so that it was easier for you to go through each fund, whether it be debt service, general fund, appraiser. And at the beginning of each fund, I have put the changes that were made with the budget that was discussed at that last work session that we had. So that it was transparent, Ms. Tyson, how you spent your dollars. So this really gives you an overview of what happened during this budget session. I also put in there the statutes that the commission is required to follow for every different fund. And I think that's helpful for any new people coming in to understand you have a lot of things you have to check off the box in order to be able to put together a budget. So each one of these has the same type of scenario as you go through it for every fund, and tells you where your increases or decreases are. And then at the very back where it says hearing notices, that is the main docket that gets published in the newspaper that tells people how much you're spending and what you're levying for each particular fund. Now you have to allow
Open
people
it up
to
to the
speak.
floor. Okay, we will open the floor up to general discussion regarding our budget hearing. Ann?
No, I think so. I'm really not sure what I'm supposed to ask during this time, but I have questions. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse. Do we have property tax projections for 2025?
That's what this is built on.
And so for 2025, what are our property tax projections?
As far as total
Yes,
assessed valuation,
just to make it easy.
total assessed valuation will be $133,179,966.
And our sales tax projections for 2025, is there any way to reasonably do that?
When we projected a $300,000 deficit.
For 2025?
Yes.
In both funds?
In both funds. Well, both, sales tax funds, not that much, because we don't receive that much. But we are definitely seeing a trend through the 8 months that the, sales tax for hard surface roads is down $300,000.
Okay. So does each department have in their budgets what they need to complete planned projects or purchases for this year? I'm going to back up a little bit, I guess.
As long as revenue comes in as expected.
Okay. So there was an increase. Yeah,
It could go down.
I know.
Very
Interest rate at the
political
bank
answer,
could go
Susan.
down.
I
It's a very
know.
political answer.
And I kind of halfway expected it. Anyway, so for this budget, you gave an increase to the courts, correct, to district court.
Like 13,000.
You know, I don't need to know numbers. I'm not going to remember anymore.
Yeah, it was for recording equipment, so they don't have
Yes,
to.
yes.
Because they wasn't able to hire a human recorder.
A human
And
recorder.
by law, by federal law, they have to be able to record all their.
Correct, correct. And then law enforcement asked for a certain amount, but you only gave them a certain amount. I mean, you reduced what you gave them. Did they get an increase?
Yes, we transferred extra funds from the correctional center to the sheriff's department.
Oh, I remember that, yes.
But it wasn't the full amount. It was-
Correct. Yes, that's what I remembered.
Total increase in budget was $71,000. 777.
And that came from
Okay.
corrections, correct?
And there's,
That was in and above, the total budget this year versus next year is $71,000.
okay. And so for next year, and I remember that you didn't, you know, there was asks, people came to ask for their entities, and that you didn't see fit to give them that. I'm sorry, that didn't sound very nice, but anyway. So there are no decreases anywhere. And I mean, okay, this, yeah. There-
Yes, there is decreases.
Oh, in what?
IT budget was decreased because we didn't move forward with software. We eliminated the CFO position. Sorry, I'm gonna go through all of them.
Oh, well.
We had employee benefit savings of $68,000. And this is where I do this, because it helps me go through it quickly. And you could say that Road and Bridge has decreased $300,000 because they don't have that money coming in sales tax.
Okay. So for Road and Bridge, he'll probably come up and talk pretty soon. There'll be some projects that they planned that they probably won't get to.
That's correct.
I mean,
Because
that's,
the cost of doing roads keeps.
yeah.
I think the oil has went up in like 75% or some crazy stuff over the last.
Gas price has gone down. Can we look at oil price going down?
How are you voting in November?
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so what are the projections for the this year, end year reserves?
For the end of this year, in the general fund, we are anticipating $167,000 to be carried over, but we're protecting for the next year $250,000. So you have to take what your carryover is, it helps fund the next year's budget, and so then you have to protect dollars so that you always have that cash flow.
So is the total 250,000 or?
That's the general fund.
Oh,
You have to go by every fund.
okay, well, never mind then.
It's roughly
I just wonder.
$450,000 total.
Okay, that $400,000 number we keep hearing thrown about. What is the projected reserves for next year? Do we?
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Okay, okay, I get it. Can you give me the dummy version on how we are repaying the jail bond? What does that even look like? What is?
You have sales tax that comes in, and it is an increasing bond payment. So every year, the amount goes up instead of it just being the same amount every single year.
But at the end in 2035 or whatever, which isn't that far, 39, okay, there'll be a balloon payment, or this increases?
You're doing that now.
That's kind of what we're doing now, okay. Okay,
So we project out, and we stay conservative in our sales tax of what we think we're gonna get. And if you stay conservative, you generally have a little bit more every year, and that's how we paid for a lot of the equipment for the public safety.
okay,
And you can also use it for bond, or for building repairs. Or we could pay the bond down quicker. There's lots of options.
yeah, okay. And that's usually what gets me into trouble. Okay, and my final pet peeve, which isn't really, it's just a pet peeve. I'm told constantly we need to compare apples to apples, and I would really appreciate it if we didn't talk about Wyandotte County anymore. We're not going to be Wyandotte County. Most of us don't want to be Wyandotte County. And about every 4 weeks, somebody comes up here and says, well, they're doing this in Wyandotte County. Okay, so if we're going to compare, good suggestions go to Anderson County, I guess. So anyway, okay, that's all.
Actually, in the budget document, when it gets posted, we do a comparable of where we land as far as what we levy versus population versus assessed valuation.
Yes.
You have to look at all those things to get a good comparison of where we are. And we are a high poverty level
Yeah, yeah,
area.
yeah, yeah. I have learned that for sure. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Anyone else? Comments? Public comment, please. Okay. I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we got a vote, right, Susan, on the budget? Jennifer? Yeah. Did you? Well, I think we've been clear on that, what we want to do. If you want to make a motion.
I will make a motion to vote on the budget as, what's the word I'm looking for?
Submitted.
Submitted, yeah.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Am I getting too big a hurry?
To vote on the budget, so we could get in there that you want to motion to approve the budget as submitted.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the budget as submitted.
We don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
I'll second his motion.
She's the keeper of that, so.
Yeah.
make sure you do it right.
Okay.
I don't want Jennifer mad at me.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Nope. We have documents we need to sign?
Yeah, just this,
Okay.
we'll just have to sign that first page.
As we close this hearing, I'd like to again add to the public, please bear with us, that we're doing a lot of things to get health care here. That's important to a lot of people, some important it's not, but that's where a lot of our revenue is going. And again, I stress this, that's the reason we could not stay revenue neutral this year. And that comes because I know a lot of people struggling. I just keep adding that and saying that, but it's true. It's true. But anyway, fuel costs is going down. I don't see insurance costs going down probably, but I don't know if groceries are yet. Caroline, are they went down? Groceries went down any yet? Inflation's still going up a little bit. Okay. Okay. We done?
Yep.
Thank you very much, Susan. Okay. Where we at? Public comment section.
Okay, Vance Eden.
Vance Eden.
Thanks, guys. I'll try to be brief. I'm gonna scoot this over so I'm not standing right in front of you. you've seen this before. I know you were, not sure, yeah, there we go, just one page, I apparently forgot how long it was. So, obviously, there's people for and against, right? The solar projects, and, no, that's all right, I highlighted them all. So on the back, I highlight, so I think a couple months ago I came and talked about what I perceive to be the tax implications of those projects. And yeah, so I've highlighted that on the back. I think that that's a point of the conversation that hasn't been mentioned too much in a long time. And I think it's important. People have questions, lots of things that have been said, but I've never had anyone question my math on those. So I'm guessing that that is at least reasonably close to accurate. And yeah, so I guess I'm here encouraging the commission to move forward and work with the developers to try to figure out what real financials would look like. Just like you guys were talking about taxes, I had a budget hearing. We are doing some bond survey work, and over I'm reminded of the implications of people's the taxes on people's lives. And I do think that this is a unique opportunity for the county to prepare itself for the future in a way that benefits a lot of people. It does negatively impact some, but essentially we would be losing the use or the vista of 2.4% is my math of the land acres in Bourbon County for those percentages that are on the back. On the most kind of conservative estimates, a 10% reduction to the mill levy of the county to generate the same revenue, a 37.9% reduction in the USD 235 budget to generate the same revenue. And then if those are developed in that kind of bigger scheme that's being talked about, you'd be talking about a 32% reduction to generate the same revenue. While the USD, we would hit the minimum at a 60.56% decrease in taxes, while still generating an additional $701,000. And so I understand there's complex feelings about it, but I do think that the tax implications to people in our current situation matter, and I think that the commission has a unique opportunity to do something for the county. We have to take a little bit of risk on because we don't see that actual tax for 10 years, but I think that hopefully is a risk that you're willing to take to potentially save us or some other group of people 10 years from now from sitting in a meeting where they're wondering how can we make ends meet without raising people's taxes. So I'll take questions, but I think that's all I have.
I don't.
Thanks, Vance.
Thank you.
Your turn.
Who's
You sure? All right.
who's next?
Ann, but she's bound out.
And all
Mary
right.
Pemberton.
Mary Pemberton. Good evening, Mary.
Good evening. This is one of those, sometimes doing the right thing's difficult, but it's important. I'm going to start by reading relevant sections of KSA 19-211, which is the sale or disposition of county property. And it starts off with Section A, except as provided in subsection B, except for any property belonging to county law enforcement department and as otherwise provided in this section, no property, the value of which is more than $50,000 belonging to any county shall be sold or disposed of by any board of county commissioners without a unanimous vote of such commissioners and public notice of such sale or disposition. Such notice shall state the time and date of the sale, the date after which the property will be offered for sale, the place of the sale, and the terms and conditions of the sale. Such notice shall be published at least once each week for 3 consecutive weeks prior to the sale in the official newspaper of the county. The property shall be sold or disposed of publicly in the manner deemed prudent by the Board of County Commissioners to the person or entity tendering the highest and best bid as determined by the board. Then the except as provided in subsection B says, in lieu of following the procedures established in section A county commission may adopt a resolution establishing an alternate method for the disposal of property. Such alternate methodology for the disposal shall contain at a minimum procedures for notification of the public of the property to be sold, describing the property to be sold, and the method of sale. So according to commission meetings, recordings and minutes from Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, following an executive session, Commissioner Beth made a motion to allow Chairman Harris to sign transfer of the hospital building to Legacy Health and any and all documents that deal with closing, and that will be done on Thursday. All approved. Later, during commission comments, Clifton stated that the transfer of the building has been a very, very long process. I've worked hours and hours and hours on it. Rob Harrington has worked hours and hours and hours over the last 2 years for sure. The ink isn't dry. There was question as to whether we even make this announcement today, but we kind of have to because of timing and how everything has to be transferred. A citizen in attendance at that meeting attempted to ask questions regarding, well, who is Legacy? What does this transfer mean? But they were immediately cut off and told the commission would not say anything further. 2 days later, after the documents were signed, it was revealed that the county had donated approximately 40 acres of real estate and a building valued at $19.6 million plus $2 million in cash to this newly formed entity called Legacy Healthcare Foundation. Per the Kansas statute I just read, it seems apparent that the agreement and donation to Legacy were made fraudulently, as KSA 19-211 makes it clear that property, real or otherwise, with a value of more than $50,000 has to be sold or disposed of in a manner that informs taxpayers, that allows for public input and participation, and that returns the greatest value to the taxpayers. None of that was done in this case. I therefore am asking that the commission correct this error and direct the county councilor to do 3 things. Number 1, make demand on Legacy Healthcare Foundation to rescind the donation transaction as it was a product of illegality. Number 2, notify Kansas Renewal Institute, who is the primary lessee of the building, of the claim. And number 3, prepare a petition to file in district court seeking to rescind the donation.
Thank you. Anyone have
Okay.
any-
If you don't wish to correct your illegal actions, I would ask that Commissioners Jim Harris, Clifton Beth, and County Councilor Justin Meeks, who were all instrumental in this, immediately resign your positions.
So illegal action, so you are accusing us of a crime?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who's next, Clifton?
Pete?
Good evening, Pete.
How are you all?
Good.
Get this out. Have you guys done any research on the fires in California and western New York, the solar battery and inverter fires?
I have not, just my conversation with the state fire marshal, yeah.
Okay, that would be a prudent thing to do, I think. Is there any update on the information from your, oh, hang on a second, from your contract lawyer investigations? You guys been, over the last 2 weeks, no update at all?
I'm not sure if I understand your question, Pete.
You guys hired, 3 weeks ago, you hired 2 contract lawyers to do an investigation, correct? 2 separate investigations? Not Justin Meeks, you hired 2 other lawyers, correct?
Hired one, and the other one was, I'm trying to draw a blank. Yes, we took 2 actions.
But there's no updates on either one of those?
We took 2 actions, yes.
Okay, but there's no updates on either one of those
No.
situations?
Both are, one is still under investigation, and the other one.
The other one, we didn't actually hire an attorney yet, I guess.
Okay.
We did not on the second one. That was it.
So
yeah.
it's still, that one's in limbo, unfortunately.
All right. On the solar deal, do we have we need to kind of, I feel like we need to kind of sit down, if we're going to put X amount of acres in, we should have X amount of firefighters to protect that, to be able to handle that. Because there is a distinct possibility of 2 of these fires at once. Shouldn't that be done before we sign some contracts? I mean, shouldn't there be some research, some more research, guys?
Well, Pete, my conversation with the state fire marshal and the state fire training academy are going to be excellent training, number 1, and any fire could be overwhelmed our staff. That's why we have mutual aid. If
So
we
you
needed
guys
it- If we needed it, we would bring Iola in and Nevada in, just like we went to Nevada a week or two ago, that big church fire. So it's mutual aid.
Okay. Takes special stuff to fight those fires, but that's all gonna have to come from our tax money for the equipment and material and the training. Last week, when I was talking about the Escondido fire, Clifton told me that the deal on his internet said there's no toxic fumes from there.
According to the article I read, that's what it said.
The article I read said, in response to Commissioner Best's comment last week, or I wrote this, these emitted carcinogens instead of toxic fumes. So they changed the name to keep it from being toxic fumes, basically. So is there a difference between carcinogens and toxic fumes?
Why don't you ask the gentleman who wrote it? Some reason they did that, Pete.
Okay. Well,
Toxic fumes may or may not cause cancer. I mean, that's the difference.
so carcinogens don't cause
So-
cancer and toxic fumes.
Carcinogens do cause cancer.
Okay.
But again, what the article I read, I was stating what the article I read, Pete,
Okay.
which is what I said.
And I'm just stating what the article I read earlier today said they changed the name from carcinogens, or from toxic fumes to carcinogens. There you go. There's all I got this week.
Thank you, Pete.
Yep.
Who's next, Cliff?
That's it.
That's it. All right, that's all the public comment.
Jennifer.
Department update, Public Works, please. Hello, Eric. Dustin, gentlemen, come in, please.
Oh, sorry, Jennifer, you're not.
How are you, gentlemen? Couldn't be better, thank you.
First thing is the culvert report. Come on, no, you're good, you're good.
How'd you get him to stay up late?
It was hard. All right. Should have the monthly fuel report, should have been emailed to you.
It was, thank you.
Yep, make sure you have that. Give you an update on our asphalt program. We have completed Eagle Road from US 69 to 250th. At this time, I'm going to suspend asphalting until we get our sales tax funding figured out, exactly what our next payment is going to be.
That's real important.
It's very important. So, I'm not saying that we won't do more asphalting this year. We need to see where we're at financially. So, just want to be transparent with that, let everyone know where we're at on that. Again, we haven't ruled it out, doing more projects, but we need to see financially where we're at.
I understand.
So that's where I'm at on that. Our budget numbers are very tight. We've sales tax down, as we said. We've also had the big flood back at the end of April and May, and that has taken a pretty good hit on our fuel and equipment cost and maintenance cost and corporate cost and so.
Have you been able to make the full transfers from sales tax to road and bridge that you budgeted?
We haven't. We have some.
I didn't think you'd had enough. But
We haven't done it.
excuse me.
We haven't done it all. So
Okay.
we have more to come from there.
I think that you have to suspend it. That's all there's to it.
We're just, like I say, I just want to be transparent with everyone why we're not asphalting right now. I've had that ask and it's going around and I just want to come out with it and say, hey, we're going to wait till we get our numbers.
Sure.
We're pretty sure they're going to be down.
And that's typical. And that's almost every year.
Every year.
We get to a point where we have to have good
Right.
numbers. So.
So, but just want to let you know on that. Off of that, kind of moving along here, it's been kind of a long night for you. Had a very good meeting today with FEMA. We are in the process now of working with them, collecting all of our data and everything, looking at our actual, looking at our projects. They will be back in 2 weeks. With the large amount of damage that we've had across the county, per their recommendation, we have divided the county into 4 quadrants, using 54 highway and 125th until you get over around Redfield, it breaks off to 120th and around. But anyhow, that's our quadrants. We're going to start in quadrant 1. They're going to go out, look at the work that's been completed, and then work with us on what we have to do to see about maybe getting some reimbursement with that. So reimbursement time frame, there is a slim possibility we could see some of that by the end of the year. More likely going to be after the first of the year. And feel free to chime in because you sitting right there on.
Probably looking around February, March.
Yeah. So.
Now, how will you figure percentage goes back in the road and bridge, or can you do it? A different year, you can't put it back, can you?
I'm not for sure how we'll do that.
2024,
for sure.
I don't know either.
And I don't know, yeah, and the unknown of how much we're actually going to get back is they keep saying large numbers, but I hate to, count on that till I actually see it.
That'd be a question for Susan, she can tell you.
Yeah. So, we have depleted our last purchase of culverts, $70,000 worth of culverts, and we have many more to be replaced. So that just kind of lets everyone know where we're at, what's going on, and the amount of damage that we did see. Debris-wise, you will be seeing us going hot and heavy here in the next several weeks, cleaning the debris out of our waterways, around the bridges, low water crossings, and things like that. We have a deadline of January 5th of having that done. We can ask for an extension, but I would just soon try and get the project done before January 5th and not have to mess with the paperwork of an extension. So that's kind of where we're at with the female. Any questions from anyone on that?
Not for me, thank you for doing a good job on Eagle Road. I've had a lot of good compliments. It's one of the best roads we've ever built. So that's a big deal, and I hope you get more sales tax. Of course, we can continue, but it is what it is.
Okay. Couple more things here for you. Did get some bad news, or in my mind, bad news. We did not get chosen for our off-system bridge grant through KDOT that we applied for. That grant, there's a letter here. There were 78 applicants, and we were not chosen.
Which bridge was that?
That was 19.2-Q.0, but it's basically out here on Jayhawk, west of 205th. Yeah.
Okay, I know where you're
Kind of
at.
down in the valley right there. So.
Okay.
Next, commission willing, when the grant application period comes open again, I'd like to apply again and see if we can keep knocking these bridges off one by one that need to be repaired/replaced. So, safety committee update. I know that's been asked a few times, Brandon. We have chosen, through our department, I've had a couple individuals want to be on the safety committee, so
Good.
I have them on listed. Working with the sheriff, who has contacted K-Works, or I believe it's K-Works. I may be saying the wrong, but anyhow, there's been some, they've had some difficulties on their end being able to get somebody to come in and actually sit down with us and say, hey, this is what we need. This is what we'd like to see your program look like. So I know several other department heads and elected officials have responded back and forth to emails that they wanted to sit in on the meeting as well. So we should be having a meeting, I think you said K-Works, here in the very near future. So if there's any questions or what have you on that, Sheriff Martin encouraged anyone to reach out to him on the safety committee if you have questions in regards to K-Works or what have you. But
we are moving forward with the safety committee, and it's kind of been a little bit of a slow process, but we are moving.
Good, good.
Roadside mowing will be starting here in the next few days on our final pass, going through mowing from right of way to right of way, and we'll start on one end of the county and we will work our way all the way across. During the past few months, we've concentrated, sorry about that, didn't speak tonight, concentrated on our RS road. So, but anyhow, we're to the point now, we'll make one pass through and we'll try and hit everything the best we can, going from right away to right away. One last thing, and I said I would pass it on, and I got a phone call. It's been, I don't know, a month or so ago, 2 months, somewhere in there. But anyhow, very nice young lady called me, and I said I would pass it along to the commission. Don't know where this will go, whether there'll be any interest. I told her I didn't know that you were looking to take on any more asphalt roads, but she is asking at 255th from US 54 going north, all the way up through there. That could be chip and sealed or asphalted. I said I didn't know that if you would want to take on any more hard surface roads, but I would definitely pass the information along. So.
Well, didn't we just suspend our asphalt program because we're not sure we got the money?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
you can respond to her and say it's definitely not going to be this year for sure.
I understand. I just,
You can also share the probably 15, 16 miles ahead of her.
yeah, it's.
Yale Road, Eagle needs a little.
Yes.
On
Yes.
Juniper Road, 240th, I mean, the list goes on, 215.
on and on.
215, so
But I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't pass it along to you. So,
I appreciate it.
Another thing, and I think we really need to suspend it this year, and it's not going to make people very happy, but the dust control program, I think for right now, we need to just hold on and see where we're at for time being. Not to say that in a month or two, maybe sales tax will come in and be very, very good. I know they pay back a portion of it, but we also have to have upfront money to be able to buy
It used to be you had to buy a tanker of that too.
absolutely.
Yeah. You couldn't buy just a few.
What do we do for dust control?
We put down an EC30
EC30.
oil.
And you had to buy 6,000 gallons to get it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of money.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's just kind of my recommendation to you. I'll do whatever you advise me to do.
I'm fine with suspending
I
it.
think that's your call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we're gonna go with it for time being.
It's just dirty.
It is
It's
dry.
dirty, it hasn't rained forever, and, I mean, as harsh as this may sound, if you buy a place on a gravel road, I can promise you there will be
Yeah, but what
dust.
happens when you buy one on an asphalt road and turn it to gravel?
Well, that was, I mean,
your road.
I know.
for safety reasons, it was tore up, so, I mean,
So,
So the people on Yale have a legit complaint, I think. They didn't have dust a year and a half ago.
So they had potholes that bury you.
They would give that Lynn County.
that's,
It'll be all right.
They got a lot of money, same way, so.
so. Anything from me, that's all I have.
I don't have anything for you, thank you. For me anyway. Good to see you, Spanky.
I just want to reiterate, we're going to be doing a lot of work cleaning up from the flood that we had back in April. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but we have an opportunity to be reimbursed for our work, so we need to get back on track with that.
well, I would say why it is dry, I mean, I know of at least 2 bridges that can be cleaned out right now with rock that has
Yes.
been down the road, yeah, you know, and I mean, you know where they're at.
Yep, so,
So.
yep, 100%, so.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Jennifer, Hawkins County Clerk, Tri-Valley Agreement.
Can I ask a question? On the road surfacing, like when you do dust control, like let's say I want dust control in front of my house, does the county pay for that?
Okay.
Up front, we have to buy the oil.
Well, up front, we have to pay for it.
Okay, because I know in
And then-
Anderson County, my mom, I don't go with Anderson County, but my mama lives in Anderson County, and for years and years and years, she's paid to have it done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last year, they sent her check back and said they weren't doing it. This year, they flat out told her that they weren't gonna do it anymore.
Yeah. The problem is, the MC30 oil, we have to buy a tanker.
Okay, because I was just like, surely.
And we might use 2,000 gallons of it, dust control.
Right, we have to buy, yeah, you have to buy, $12 tanker full.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer, let's go.
Alright, so I have a Tri-Valley agreement for services. They normally send this out earlier in the year,
Okay,
they
thank you.
didn't. This is to, certify the amount that we have budgeted for them for 2024 is $55,000, which is what we have budgeted. So they asked that you sign this so that I can get this back to the CEO of Tri-Valley for their audit receipt.
I make a motion to, all three of us sign this Tri-Valley Developmental Services Agreement for Services. It's $55,000, which is what we have budgeted, so.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
You go.
That it, Jennifer?
That's all I have.
Justin Meeks. Sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. I need an executive session. I'm going to morph two executive sessions into one. I need one for attorney-client privilege with active ongoing litigation on the three of them, and then I need a personnel matter, non-elected identifiable, just to discuss some follow-ups from our first executive session with the three commissioners and myself. Probably need 7 minutes.
7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if we want to come, I mean, there is another acquisition of real property that I think Clifton, Commissioner Beth, and maybe you already know about it, with the EMS building. Do you want to talk about that in open session?
Yeah, I think we can. I know
Okay.
We know
I
about
mean,
it, yeah.
I was just going to ask for a survey with some action, but,
Yeah, I think we can talk about that one here in a little bit.
okay.
Okay, I make a motion to go into
There
executive.
will be action afterwards.
on
when you
this.
come out. When
Okay.
you come out.
I make a motion to go into executive session, KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, be three commissioners, and Justin Meeks would be for 7 minutes.
And
B1.
And B1 to discuss personnel matters of individual non-elected personnel and protecting privacy. Will return at 6:57.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner desires for that person. You can ask them, sometimes I don't.
Well, she suggested. Oh, that girl must have good.
She does a lot of things.
You hit that. You got it. Make a motion to resume normal session with action.
I second it.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
Action.
I asked just for an expenditure of funds of $185 to be taken out of whatever account it needs to be taken out of. We're still actively searching for the personal service on a business that we've commenced legal action against a while back, and we're just trying to get them served. Personal service is sometimes hard to obtain when that person doesn't want to be found. So we believe that we might have gotten personal service by having it tacked on the door, but we're waiting to see if they file an answer. So that's what I'm asking for, is $185 so that Jennifer can get that.
Do we need to make a motion for that, or are you just getting it?
It's an expenditure of funds that isn't budgeted, so I think it's just, a motion would be.
Yeah, I make a motion to allow for 185 or 6.
I think it's 185, or actually the invoice, it's either 185 or 186. I didn't write it down.
So up to $186 for personal service to come out of the general fund.
Probably the commission's.
Commission's general fund, discretionary.
Yeah.
Commission's discretionary general fund for this expense.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Judge.
90% of the time I wouldn't go into executive session and talk about acquisition of real property, but this is a unique situation where the property is, for intensive purposes, I think Commissioner Beth can tell me I'm wrong, but has been de facto talked about already donating it. We need to do a survey. It's the EMS. There's 2 barns. One is the EMS building, basically their headquarters, and there's a barn to the straight east of it. I mean, literally straight east. And there's a little gravel parking lot that we're trying to put a line wherever the powers to be, whoever wants to make that decision, that line needs to be drawn and surveyed so that there's a potential of that being donated back to the county so that we can use that for future EMS.
Yes.
So the expenditure, I don't know how much the survey is going to cost. It's usually under 1,000, but
it'll be around 1,000 to 2,000 is what they'll be.
so whatever you want to do. But I'm just letting you know, we have to get that survey done before they would even remotely consider having it donated to the county. So I ask that those funds be expended.
I make a motion to allow Justin to get the service of a surveyor to survey the buildings around the EMS so that land can be rightfully deeded in the right way, I guess.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Commission comments.
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Want to go first?
I worked on this deal. Here, I'll pass it around. You can look at it. It's a loose preliminary zoning map, and I know that's a scary word. It's not really zoning, but what it does is it puts everything outside of any city limits into agricultural use, which means that there can be no more contracts signed without the county knowing about it ahead of time, because they got to come to us and ask us to change it from agricultural to industrial use. That's, I don't know, 45 minutes worth of work to figure that out. Now, we would obviously have to come up with standards for the industrial plans and commercial plans, but that's a preliminary.
That's the easy part.
Right. But if we voted on that today, everything would be agricultural except for anything inside the city limits and whatever they.
Big grandfather, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we adopt that, and then we can work on the zoning stuff. And that may be all the farther we go with it, I don't know, but if we zone everything outside the city limits as agricultural, then that gives us a starting point.
What are we gonna do about the people that have businesses in their houses that aren't agriculture. I mean, I know of multiple ones in their barns, and any number of things that aren't considered agriculture. What about those?
So you're gonna work out of your office in your house and consider that commercial?
If I can make a suggestion.
I don't know.
My experience in zoning is, and I know it sounds like a broken record here, but we need to go forward, the comprehensive plan, that land use with targeted areas that we need to, yes, they're agricultural today, but they are available, possible for future industrial or commercial. It's a complete plan. That, and I appreciate you and Shane working on that, but I can't second it because it's not ready yet, in my opinion, and I have a lot of experience in zoning. Clifton?
Well, I mean, everybody knows where I stand
Yeah,
on
okay.
zoning. I mean,
Motion dies lack of second. Anything else?
Yeah, number two, the commission and our counselor was just accused of committing a crime.
Yeah.
Instead of blowing it off, maybe you guys should come up with the proof that you didn't break the law. I mean, that's just, I mean, you can sit over there and laugh, but if she's got.
Number one, it was a donation, we didn't sell nothing. So,
Yeah.
everything she reported was that we broke the law by the procedures, how we sold it, we didn't sell it. We donated it, so, we'll have legal counsel.
I'm glad to know
review
you're
it.
after us, Brandon.
I'm not after nobody. I'm trying to, I just told you, you should probably prove that you didn't break the law.
I don't have to
That's what
prove
said.
nothing.
I don't
didn't-
either.
I didn't accuse you of breaking the law.
And I'm not gonna prove nothing because we have legal counsel that will review the matter. We donated it, we didn't sell anything.
It was looked
She
over.
used, she used the language sell, and we didn't sell anything. It was donation. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
Clifton?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We just made a motion to adjourn and Brandon seconded it.
Yeah.
She varies in opinions about totally different things.
Doing all right.
That is not true.